Hey YouTube, today we're going to be comparing a couple Smith and Wesson 357 Magnums, and these are two 357 Magnums that a lot of people get confused, so I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison and show you some of the differences. So what we have here on top, we have a 4-inch 686 no dash 357 Magnum in stainless, and on the bottom here we have a Smith and Wesson 66-2 also in stainless, and it's also a 4-inch revolver. And before we go any further, I'm going to show you that both of these revolvers have nothing in them, and we are clear to make this video. So what we have here, we're going to start with this smaller one. This is a Smith & Wesson 66-2, and this is Smith & Wesson's smaller K-frame. And this particular one came out in 1971 in stainless. The actual K-frame was introduced in 1957, so it's been around a long time, but it was actually the Model 19, which was offered in nickel or carbon blue steel. And the stainless ones did not come out until 1971. This particular one is a 66-2, and this was made between like 1982 and 1985. Let me see if I can get this to focus here. Sometimes it's a little bit hard. This is the serial number if anybody wants to look up and see what year it was made, but it's going to be somewhere between 1982 and 85. Now this is a small frame 357 Magnum, and it does not feature a full underlug. It's a half underlug, 4-inch barrel, and it has a red ramp on the front. It has serrations on the top to cut down glare. It has an adjustable for windage and elevation target sight, and this one has a white outline on it. This one has a super wide hammer spur on it, and it has a super wide serrated trigger. Now I know there's some Smith & Wesson people out there who know the target hammer, target trigger, and I don't know all that stuff, folks. It's called like the 3 T's or something like that. I'm not certain whether this one has that or not, but this one is a square butt, has the smooth walnut grips on them, and they're really cool looking because they look like they have tiger stripes on them. But it's a 6-shot 357 Magnum, and it just has the same normal stuff. This was before they had the lock on them, and this one also has the firing pin on the hammer. But just a really cool revolver, small frame K-frame revolver, chambered in 357 Magnum. I can show you some of the close-ups of it. It says Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum. It has their Made in USA and all their Smith & Wesson stuff on this side of it. It has the Smith & Wesson logo right here on the side plate, and right here it just says Smith & Wesson. So we'll compare that to the little bit larger L frame. Now the L frame was introduced in 1980, and they came out as the 586 and the 686, and this one happens to be a 686. It is also a 6-shot 357 Magnum, and this one is a no dash, and I have a hard time getting this camera to focus on these serial numbers, but here's the serial number right here if anybody wants to look it up. This was made sometimes after 1980. This one also is a square butt. This one has checkered target grips on them, and it's very similar looking to the ones on the one I just showed you. They're kind of tiger striped, and it doesn't have serrations on this trigger right here. This is a smooth trigger, and it's a little bit less narrow, and it has a lot less narrow hammer spur on it. But this one's also a pre-lock, and this one also features the firing pin on the hammer. This also has target sights adjustable for windage and elevation. This one happens to not have a white outline on it. It has a red ramp up front, and it also has serrations on top of it. But I'll show you some of the close-ups of this one. It has their same Smith & Wesson insignia right there on the side. It says Smith & Wesson on this side, and then on the other side, same stuff written here, made in the USA, and it says Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum. So if you look at this one's quite a bit more beefier than the Model 66 here, and I'm going to try and do this on camera. I'm going to try to show you side by side these cylinders. Let me see if I can get both of these open at the same time, and I'll show you. If you notice, 686 is going to be quite a bit beefier cylinder. See, between the cylinders, the walls are a lot thinner on the 66 and it is the 686, and if you look at them side by side, you can tell there's a definite size difference here. So basically, you're just looking at a larger frame on the L frame than you do on the K frame, and a lot of people get these mistaken. If you don't see them side by side, it would be easy to get them mistaken, but these were brought out because you can shoot a heavy dose of 357 Magnum all day long through this, because the frames are a little bit stronger, a little bit beefier, and just the way they're beefed up and everything. But this is what they call a medium size revolver, and this is more of a small frame size revolver. Now, Smith and Wesson does offer a little bit smaller frame. It's called the J frame, and majority of those are chambered in 38 special. They're like little airweights, or before the airweights came out, they had like the Model 36 and carbon steel, and they had the Model 60 and stainless. But a lot of people just get these two mistaken, and the way you look at it right away, the way you can tell is this underlug. The 66, the underlug only goes halfway on them, and the 686 and the L frame will go all the way. It has a full underlug. This one was very similar to the Colt Python, and I think that's what this was the answer to. It was the same size frame, featured the full underlug, and was a little bit heavier dutier than this one right here. But this one, you're also sacrificing weight, folks. This one's quite a bit lighter, so if you're going to carry it around, that may make a difference to you. Now, I'll show you some side-by-sides of them. If you look on my particular Model 66 on the left, the hammer spur is quite a bit bigger. I would call this more of a target hammer than I would call this. And if you look at the triggers on them, the trigger on the 686 is a little bit more narrow and it is smooth, and on the 66 it's quite a bit wider and it's serrated. So a little bit wider trigger, a little bit wider hammer spur, but a lot smaller frame on them. So these K frames have been around a very long time. Like I said, they've been around since 1957, and they've served well. Never really heard of a lot of people having problems with shooting a lot of 357 Magnum through them. But if you wanted a little bit heavier duty gun and weight wasn't really a problem, and a little bit larger physical size, this is the way to go, is the 686. You'll never wear it out. But if you just want something a little bit lighter, a little bit more compact, a little bit easier to handle, maybe the Model 66 would be the way to go, the actual little K frame. Now, you're going to get a little bit more recoil when you're shooting 357 Magnums out of the K frame than you will the L frame up here. That's one thing to take into account. But anyway, folks, I wanted to show you a side-by-side of a L frame 686, no dash on top, and a K frame Model 66-2 on the bottom. These were made almost the exact same year. Within 2 or 3 years of each other were they made, and one of them's a little bit smaller than the other one. If you have any questions on these, I have videos on each one of these guns, and feel free to ask. If I know the answer, I will answer it for you. If I don't, I'll figure it out for you. Thank you very much for watching my video today, folks, and you folks have a great day.